We want to take you live now to Washington, D.C. This is the gyrocopter operator Douglas Hughes, who just entered a plea of not guilty to violating federal airspace. Let's listen in.
Define an open marriage. They're in bed with lobbyists, special interests, Wall Street, and big banks. Enough is enough. We are not asking, we are demanding that our government honor the vows of fidelity implicit in the Constitution. In case anyone has forgotten who the Congress owes fidelity to, it's defined in the first 3 words of the preamble: we, the people. I landed on the back lawn of Congress with letters to every member of Congress as the next step in the process of bringing our government back to virtue. As long as I'm free, I'm going to be introducing voters to groups with solutions to the problem of corruption that the vast majority of voters recognize and oppose. I can take just a couple of questions and then I have to confer with my lawyer.
Doug, yesterday when we sat down, we talked about the fact that you at that time faced only a felony and a misdemeanor, and you said you welcome whatever may happen here today, but you talked about the possibility of a plea deal that would be a minimal penalty. Now you're looking at much more severe charges with upwards of 9.5 years imprisonment. To what degree now are you more concerned than yesterday that you may indeed spend time behind bars?
I've always been concerned that I might spend time behind bars, and I'm not eager for jail time. On the other hand, I took responsibility for what I did. This is going to play out in the courts, and it may finish up before a jury of my peers. But I accepted the consequences what I was doing because I believed it's critical that we return our democracy to the people, and that can be done with the solutions that have already been defined.
How would you, in your opinion, that you wanted to face a jury? Are you even considering a plea at this office?
I'm open to a plea with the prosecutor if you take into consideration that there was no property damage and no injury, and the purpose of my civil disobedience was to get Congress and the federal government so that they're working for the people instead of special interests, and to draw the attention of people through my website to the groups that already exist, okay, who have plans, a constitutional amendment that can do this.
So, Mr. Doug, it's pretty clear that you violated airspace and you didn't have a license. So if you were to go to court and not accept the plea, what would be your defense?
I have been competing with my lawyer ever since this started because he doesn't want me to talk to the press. And he's agreed not to commit murder and kill me as long as I agree not to discuss the case in any detail. That includes the strategy, I'm afraid.
Doug, what would you do differently today? Looking back, would you do anything differently?
Let me be clear. I'll never do anything like this again, but I would do it exactly the way I did.
What would you think of someone else violating airspace?
If my flight exposed flaws in the safety net, okay, the security, they were procedural and they've already been plugged. Nobody else could do what I did and get away without, at best, being forced down, at worst, being shot down. And I highly recommend nobody try it.
Do you want your copter back? There's a forfeiture portion of this. Would you like to get your copter back?
I've got a lot of sweat and blood in that machine. I'd love to have it back. I never expected that I would get it back, and we're going to have to see how the trial works out.
What has the post office said to you, sir?
Okay.
What has the post office said to you?
At this point, they're just investigating it. I'm afraid I got to go.
What's your status with the post office? Are you still employed, on leave, or?
We, the people in the District of Columbia, would like to give you your stamp, the commemorative stamp.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was Douglas Hughes giving a press conference there after pleading to not guilty to the charges that have been filed against him. If you recall, he flew that gyrocopter and landed on the lawn of the U.S. Capitol. could face up to 9 years in prison. Mr. Hughes saying that he doesn't plan to ever do this again, but he takes responsibility for his actions. He was protesting campaign financing and wants a reform of that. And he says he's open to a plea with the prosecutor.
Yes, he says that he's not eager for jail time, but he is fully taking responsibility for his actions, and he doesn't regret it.
He doesn't
and
regret it.
It's somewhat ironic that he was there to protest campaign finance, but yet it brought out the whole security issue with protecting our nation's capital.
He also said that he doesn't want anybody to try to do this because he said at best you'll be forced down and at worst you'll be shot down.
Yeah, not a good idea, he said. All right, we'll continue to follow this story, but again, Douglas Hughes pleading not guilty today to violating federal airspace. We'll be right back.